Prezov, and basically through the mountains area where I was warned that there were bears in the area, which was quite nice. I was kind of hoping to see one, but as of yet, not really. So this is the second time I've been through this region and I haven't really seen any bears, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I went into a place which really shocked me. It's a place called Lunik 9, and it's in Slovakia. It's near it's actually in Kozais. And if you think you've been prejudiced against, or you've been kind of disowned for whatever reason, or you think the world's against you, or you think that because of, because of whatever reason you think that you're not getting on in life the way you should, or you're being turned down for work, jobs, and all this kind of thing, you need to think again, really, because this place here, it's hard to describe, but basically, in this part of the world, which shouldn't exist, which should never have existed, but does, if you're Roma or Roma descent, then you're an outcast. You're the great unwashed. You're the type of people nobody wants to be around. And basically you don't even get a choice of education as well, because your education is non-existent. Basically, if you do get an education, you're put into schools where you're all from the same group and background, and you're treated as if you've got the IQ in the bottom range of the 40s. So that's how you're treated. You're treated like a second or even a third or fourth class person or citizen in your own country, in a first world country. Can you believe that? Now, I haven't seen anything like this place. I've been told that it had been destroyed, it had been pulled down, it doesn't exist anymore, but it clearly does. Clearly does. So I went there to have a look, and I was kind of shocked. Never seen anything like this, not even bombed out buildings, destroyed places that are being pulled down even. Because as you come into it and you come up a small hill to the crest where this place is, you can smell one thing, and that is human waste. You can smell it before you get anywhere near the place, and when you go into the place, it's overwhelming. These buildings are so destroyed, the people and the kids are feral, but is it their fault? Well, I'm quite sure the destroyed buildings more than likely are, to a point, but the feral children, well, if no one's going to educate them and no one's going to help you out, then really what happens? It's exactly what happens when you see this. Apparently it's a scary place. It wasn't as scary as it's made out, but maybe because, I don't know, maybe it was a bit of an interest being on a white bike in that area, because I don't think there are many around up there. So anyway, I went through it. The kids were kids from the planet of the apes, which is probably the best way to describe them, because that's what it felt like. It didn't feel like it was in a first world country like this is meant to be, second world country like, a third world country, or even a 15th world country, because this place is out of this world, really. It shouldn't exist in the way it does. And it felt like that. It just felt like a completely different planet, really. That's the only way to describe it. The buildings were in such a bad shape that they basically could fall down on their own. There was no windows, no glass, no doors, no running water, no electricity, no gas, no utilities, no nothing. Just nothing. It was just about destroyed everywhere. The roads were destroyed, the buildings were destroyed, the people kind of looked destroyed. There were a few nice, presentable looking people walking around. Some of the girls, they're obviously taking care of themselves, as much as they can, but you know, the rest of them, not a chance. They were absolutely feral. Even when, you know, I got stopped with a few of them, you know, one high-fived us, which was nice. So they're not, I don't think there's the malice in there, but I think they probably could if you weren't nice towards them. I'm sure they could suddenly change. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't happen like that. The place smelt of human waste. The roads were destroyed, it stunk. Most people were looked like they hadn't even been cleaned for about a year. How can this even happen? How can a country such as this and other countries around this allow this to happen? Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I don't know. It's just absolutely nuts. But even in this area, though, I was in Prezov today. I am currently in Prezov, one of my favourite cities, basically, or towns. No, it is a city, and this is the second time I've been here. The first time was a little while ago, about 6 months ago, and basically I really enjoyed it. It was nice. The weather, for some reason, it's always nice here. It was 2 degrees or less, so it was very, very cold, but it's always cold from what some of the locals said. Basically, it can get down to as low as minus 22 degrees Celsius, centigrade in the winter, so kind of 2 degrees wasn't too bad. So overnight it was freezing, but it wasn't too bad. As we got further here, it was much warmer, and it gradually got warmer till we got through the mountains and got to here. Being warned that there were bears in the vicinity, because you cut through the forest at the bottom. Literally, it runs. There's a mountainous forest region which runs around the bottom of Poland, and I was warned that there was a lot of bears out, so I was kind of looking for them but didn't see them. Twice I've been through that way and I didn't see them, but I got some footage of the roads. They were great. And also stopped for fuel really high up. It was almost level with the mountains on the way down here, and their electricity had gone out, so I couldn't get any, but it was fine. I had half a tank. So now this is Prezov. And it's very, very, very pretty. It's a stunning place to be. I mean, it hasn't, apparently, apart from the electrification of everything, it really hasn't changed for hundreds of years, as in the architecture, the buildings and so on. I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, it goes on forever. It's like this for miles, at least a mile up this street towards the end there, which is great. And the people are great. Had a good time here, basically. Really enjoyed coming here. But since I've been here, I've been accosted 3 times within a space of like an hour by girls, basically young girls, Roma, and they are just after money, really, anything you've got, to be honest. And when they're meant to be ladies, and I'll say girls because they don't look much older than sort of middle teens, to be fair, even though they got kids with them, and 2 out of 3 were pregnant as well, so it was a bit weird. But again, they're pretty much derided in this area anyway. They're classed as underlings, underdogs, worse than pets, basically. And I'll show you that in a little bit later in the video as to why. But I mean, they're normally all girls who are begging, and yeah, the locals don't have any time for them. They've got no time of day for them, and they're pretty horrible to them. But you know, that's one thing I've been looking into, so that will be coming very shortly. So yeah, this is Prezov. And I think outside of Ypres, there's only here and and Barjov really, that kind of really stays, which is great. So yeah, it's quite nice. It's good. So I'm gonna just carry on my trip. And there's a clip here of me just showing you bits of press. I've now sat on the bench, just minding my own business after I had something to eat, just looking around, and I got approached 3 times by Roma. Roma women, basically. They were asking for money and food and all this kind of thing. And yeah, you couldn't really call them women. They were kind of on the low side of middle teenagers, really. And a couple of them had 2 kids. So yeah. But if you see the way when they interact with, the locals have a massive disdain for them. And there's even a community just outside of Prezov, which there's another Roma community which has just recently caught fire. 4 or 5 houses burned down, children and an adult died, and yeah. The most uproar in the news was the fact that it was the children's fault because they started the fire. There was very little kind of empathy for them or anything like that. So it's very strange, especially in a country like this. It's not a third world country. It's not an impoverished country, although there is a lot of poverty around if you have a proper look. But there's also a lot of poverty in other countries, including Romania and Poland and even Czech Republic. But if they'll treat all of the Roma like this, which I know they do in the Ukraine, and I know the Russians treat them very similarly. So Slovakia is not alone in that. But it's crazy because a lot of these kids really could, if they had some help, some of them could do really well, but they're not going to get the chance, are they? So what they've got to look forward to, other than to shout, scream, throw sticks, throw rocks, and then destroy the place that they live in. So yeah, is it their fault? Some of it is, but is it really all their fault?